What's going on, everybody, and welcome on into the OBR free agency special spectacular as the free agency season, the free agency year kicked off here today. And man, I got to tell you, I was all ready to come on here and talk about kind of a slow day, a boring day, not a lot of news around Browns land, kind of the way we thought it would be. And then this evening, the Browns, in their best Lee Corso impression, said, "Not so fast, my friends." And they made a couple moves. So we're going to get into everything that we saw go down today as free agency opened in the NFL. And we will go down where we think the Browns are at, where we think they are going as this process makes its way through. With you today, I'm your host, Michael Keefe. Find me online at Garage Beers Mike, and you will see my group with me tonight. Brad Ward, Jacob Roach, Jack Duffin, and Jeff Lloyd's here, but I think he's frozen. So I'm gonna keep trying to get him in here, but it's every time I try to add him, he's not here. So we'll see if we can get Jeff in here. But for right now, we'll start with this group, and then I'll say maybe Jeff, if you want to go out and then come back in, we'll try to add you. Guys, I'm gonna go around. There's gonna be plenty of time for everybody to give their opinions on what we saw today and how things went down. But there's no better way. Again, when the news broke that the Cleveland Browns were trading Dorian Thompson-Robinson in a 5th-round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles for Kenny Pickett, I thought, there's only one way I can start this show off. There's only one way that I can do right by Browns fans. There's only one way I can do right by Browns fans to start this show off. And so, Jack and Jacob, many apologies to you. I don't mean to make you guys secondary, but Brad Ward, man, go ahead and kick us off, man. Kenny Pickett is a Cleveland Brown, Brad Ward.
Sad day, man. It's a sad day. Listen, I was just on Quincy Carrier Live, and he tried to talk me off the ledge. Tried to talk me off the ledge on this one. The scariest thing about it is, first of all, that I just don't want to. Just him in a Browns uniform is frightening to think about. The little baby hands, in training camp, he's going to have the Guardian helmet on, and they're going to get a picture of him in the Browns uniform, the one that I've always made fun of, and it's going to be really sad. And it's just, it's bad. And then, the second thing is they gave up a 5th-round pick for the guy and DTR. Like, Geno Smith went for a 3rd. I mean, does that secure him as our backup quarterback? Is he going to play a serious role on this football team? I'm scared to death. Help me.
You're the only person I could think of. My man had T-shirts made up for this dude.
Yeah.
Steelers. This was all you all the time. And when I saw the news broke, I went, well, I know how we're starting this show. So we know, boys, and I think Brad's reaction, Jack, Jacob, I think Brad's reaction is going to be the overwhelming reaction when it comes to Cleveland Browns and their fans and the city of Cleveland, because Kenny Pickett, for all the crap that we put up with the Cleveland Browns, Kenny Pickett finally was that one guy with the Pittsburgh Steelers that we felt like, we have the upper hand here. We can give it back. And now here he is with the Cleveland Browns. So, boys, why don't you take it? If you have it, maybe you guys feel the exact same way Brad Ward does. And if you do, let us know. But do either one of you feel any different about this situation?
Firstly, I'd just like to touch on how much Brad's calmed down in the last 2 hours, because
Mike
would have just been on the buzzer bleeping every other word.
It's true.
So
true.
He's definitely chilled. And I think that time of reflection just allowed him to burn off some steam. But it's one that, it's up there with the Cade Yorks, the David Bell, the Ika picks, where I'm just like, why? And it's one that people go, hey, they've upgraded it on DTR. And I was like, yeah, DTR was a camp body for me. He wasn't going to make the 53. There was no point where I thought, oh, DTR is going to make the 53. It was, will they sign him to a practice squad? Will he go somewhere else? So it's one that I don't buy that argument. I don't mind the view, though, if we're talking about it's the white dad bod army we're potentially bringing in. If it's Kirk Cousins, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett, a draft
Michael
pick,
Keefe, Jack Duffin, Brad Ward, Jacob Roach. Let's go.
Then I don't mind the three of them and sort of throw it at the wall and see what sticks, because there's a very real chance that they bring in Kirk Cousins and Kirk Cousins doesn't work out at all. And then, maybe you have got Mac Jones and Kenny Pickett with a draft pick. So I don't mind this throw everything at the wall. 5th round picks, in all honesty, what they really become. But underwhelming is a fair assessment of
Okay. So I made some phone calls after.
Hold on.
Samaritans?
Carson Wentz. Is it true that Carson Wentz is? I will absolutely go insane if Wentz,
both.
if they brought Wentz and Pickett in here. That's insanity. No wonder Miles was trying to get out of town. If this is the plan, I mean, seriously, you're going to have to talk me off the ledge, because Wentz is right up there with him, and you know this. You know, no offense to people like you, Jack, gingers. You know, it's
Damn.
not,
Here we go
again.
He's been doing it for years. Here we go again.
It's not ginger hate. It's the way he looked in that hideous Commander's uniform with his red hair. And I'm just not going to do it with Wentz, and you're going to have to really. This is insane. If Wentz is truly a rumor, and Pickett, we're really pushing this to the limit here of how much I can take.
We do have cause to celebration. We will not be seeing James Hudson play anymore. He is a.
Oh, no, wait a minute. We're not there yet. Wait, hold on, Jacob. We're getting there.
But I wanted to celebrate.
We will. We'll either celebrate or we'll be sad when we get to that point of the show, Jacob. Right. Go back to the quarterback. Go back to Kenny Pickett, man. When that Pete Smith was like a monster today in our Slack channel. The second something would break, it would be in our Slack channel. Pete was killing it today. When you saw it come through and you saw Pete's message, Kenny Pickett being traded to the Browns, Jacob, how are you feeling?
So I check into the hotel. And I'm like, all right, cool. I get sit down. I'm finishing a Jackson Dart piece. I'm like, it's going to be a nice, quiet evening here, and we're just going to have some good times. And I look it up, and I'm just like, I need to restart my phone because it needs to be glitching. There's no way it says what it says. Like, there's just like.
I thought somebody hacked my phone to play a practical joke on me.
My thought was like, it was never amongst the realm of possibilities to me. It just wasn't. I just didn't think about it. And then I said, and Casey Kidman, I was talking to Casey Kidman, and his exact words were, "Don't you dare try to spin this." And I said, well, I've seen him run an offense. I understand that is an incredibly low bar, but I've seen it.
I've also seen him throw the ball into the floor when he meant to pass.
Yep.
I didn't say well.
Well, back real quick, back to this comment. Have you ever seen him get stuck under an American flag? It could always be worse. It could always be worse.
In all seriousness, in all seriousness, I can live with it if he's like the third guy and he's going to have to compete to be the backup, and there's somebody there. Like, my question is, and maybe you can answer this, Jack, but why not Flacco? Why not somebody like that as your backup now, placeholder, in case, if you're going to play the Cousins waiting game, which is incredibly dangerous, by the way, but if you're going to do that, which it feels like they might, right, then why not somebody like Flacco? Why small hands, right? I don't want to do it with baby hands unless he's your third guy. He's a camp arm, and then he gets kick rocks at the end of this. But the fact that they gave him a fifth makes me feel like they're using him as a backup, and that scares me.
I think he's the first-round reclamation project. Former first-round reclamation.
There are so many other guys I would have rather taken a flyer on as a reclamation project than him. So many other guys.
This is one where I think they're giving themselves a little bit of insurance, because I still think they'll go out and they'll sign a Jameis Winston, Mac Jones, someone in that ilk, Flacco, whoever it might be, as the number two. and they're still looking for the number one. And for me, there was 5 of them out there. You had Rodgers, Darnold, Wilson, Cousins, and someone that's escaping me. Certainly weren't Fields.
Jones.
Daniel Jones. They're the 5 guys that it's like they've actually got some talent. And you're looking for one of those 5. You've got 7 teams. There's only 5 of them out there, so it's going to be tough. But it's one that you're looking for them in that spot. They're looking for a number 2, and then this is the number 3. And it wouldn't shock me. I don't know what the Eagles gave up for him, that they could potentially move him on, maybe a 6th, a 7th at the end of the off-season if they don't keep him around. So I wonder if they've kind of baked in some sell-on value. And if it's one that he just hangs around for camp and he goes for a 6th rounder next year, it's not the end of the world. Whereas they just need some protection, because at the minute they had DTR, and you can't sit there on DTR potentially for another week till Kirk Cousins. I still think someone else gets signed beyond just Kirk Cousins, unless Kirk Cousins is suddenly available within the next 2 days rather than a week's time.
It's funny that they traded the guy that I went nuts for on draft day, that everybody's referencing in the chat. It threw a temper tantrum, made myself look like a fool. I'm trying to behave better today. I think I've behaved better with this one, although I wanted to throw a very similar tantrum about this. I'm trying to be more rational and more professional in my older age, gentlemen. So,
well, the thing that makes it easy to be irrational about this is that this is the first quarterback domino to fall for the Browns. And so it makes it feel like, and this was my thought process through the whole day after they made this announcement. My thought process was, this is going to be a disastrous reaction, because you got rid of the only other quarterback in the room, which, again, I don't think anybody had any hopes for DTR, but this was the first domino to fall. It wasn't the Kirk Cousins situation. It wasn't bringing in a Daniel Jones, who I think even then people are going to have some wild reactions to that. It wasn't signing Sam Darnold or things that I don't think were even possible. I think it was, this is the first thing we're seeing the Cleveland Browns do at the quarterback position. And I think just from an optics perspective, people are probably blowing this massively out of proportion at this point, because I think if they tell you what they think of this, Jacob, I loved your idea. I loved your commentary about a first-round reclamation project. You might want another guy, but if their view is that this guy is a guy that comes in, maybe he's their 3rd guy, and maybe he shows them that, hey, after a tough stretch in Pittsburgh, he learned something on that Philadelphia Eagles team that went on and won a Super Bowl. By the way, the Super Bowl quarterback joke is the worst damn joke on the internet right now. Please stop with the damn Super Bowl. Oh, they finally got a Super Bowl winning quarterback. It's not funny. It wasn't funny the first time somebody said it. Joe Flacco was a Super Bowl winning quarterback 2 years ago. It's not like it's been a long time. It's not funny. It's overplayed. Jack, go ahead. You're right in the middle of my rant. Go ahead.
We're going to have a QB room of white guys with dad bods. They're going to be cracking dad jokes. So you better get ready for those Super Bowl. This is going to be nonstop.
These are dad jokes. These are bad jokes.
This is my kind of quarterback room right there.
These are bad jokes. They're not dad jokes. If Paul Spencer likes it, I know I'm in the right. But it's got, I mean, there has to be an element of this is being a little bit blown out of proportion. They did not sign Kenny Pickett to come in and be their starting quarterback. They didn't sign Kenny Pickett to be, if they did, then let's all explode and go crazy. But right now, I think we have to work under the assumption that Kenny Pickett is the replacement of DTR.
Yeah. What is that? DTR was going to be on the practice squad. Listen, for official, and people are pointing this out in the chat, so I just want to point it out as well. My rant ended up being justified about DTR. Can we agree? Like, that was not the best pick ever? Can we go down? I mean, pick. It wasn't just. How was that not justified? We just traded him off. What?
Keep swinging at.
It was a 5th-round pick.
He was terrible.
A 5th-round pick with potential. It didn't work out. It happens.
But you know who's not as terrible? Kenny
Pickett. Yeah. Well, you had to pair it with a 5th-round pick to get Pickett back. That shows how bad he was.
You had to give the 5th-round pick to get rid of DTR.
Exactly. But like, where's my Kyle Trask? I would take a shot on him or Cooper Rush or any of these guys that, I would much rather have them as a reclamation project than, baby hands. But here we are.
He's got a winning record.
What is this? So we're not going to spend this whole show on quarterback, but so now that we know that the only quarterback in the room right now for the Cleveland Browns is Kenny Pickett. He's the only guy in the room. What does today tell you about what you feel the approach of the Cleveland Browns is over the next days, weeks, and month and a half leading up to the NFL draft?
Kirk Cousins, no matter what.
Who drafted?
Okay,
it's on a post-it note.
Kirk Cousins, I agree, would be ideally the starter for this team. But isn't playing this waiting game super scary? Like, you can't wait while everybody else signs a deal and you end up with nobody when the music stops. Like, you just named the names. They're all linked to other teams right now. So what happens if they don't trade him? Or they don't release him, I mean.
I feel the same way about Kirk Cousins' release as I did about the Myles Garrett extension. Inevitable. It's going to happen. They're not going to pay him an extra $10 million to take that. I agree we could get to a point where Kirk Cousins is released and there's 2 teams still in the running, and that could be a risk. But I think they sign someone in the midtime, whether it's Mac Jones, whether it's James Winston. I think there'll be another body in there.
Yeah. And then if you don't, then you better change your plan at 2. If you are off a quarterback, then you better draft a quarterback at 2. I mean,
right, you go up to 1 and you just get
you take Ward. Yeah, I mean that's what you can do if you miss out on him completely. But you would like to have, which is terrible process, and you should never do that unless you actually love the guy. But this, I'm just. And Pat Shea he's right. Barry has a plan. I'm sure he has a plan to do, to execute here. I guess I'm just a little shook finding out that Pickett was part of the plan.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So am I alone here? Am I alone here, guys? It might be the worst year ever to need a quarterback. I mean, this might be the worst year of all time to need a quarterback. The draft is littered with guys with questions. Even the top guys are question mark guys. There is no Joe Burrow in this draft that's coming out. Now there's probably going to be an All-Pro in there somewhere, but which one is it? It's like 2018 all over again. But I don't know, guys. I'm watching this. I'm watching all the news go down today. Am I going to be real excited if I'm the Raiders and I have Geno Smith now? If I'm a Raiders fan? No. Am I real excited now that I'm a Seahawks fan and now we have Sam Darnold? No. Am I real excited if I'm the Jets and now we have Justin Fields? No. We're talking about guys that have either been kind of middle of the pack kind of guys or bottom of the barrel guys, but this year they are more appealing. It's just, I don't know. I feel like there's just this rush to go get some of these guys. And I'm like, I wouldn't want to pay Sam Darnold what the Seahawks are paying him. I wouldn't want to go out and get some of these other guys that have not proven to be top level guys and they've had time in the NFL. I just feel like it's a terrible year, but it overblows everything. It makes everything seem more urgent when maybe who do we want to be spending this big money on?
Listen, is what the Seahawks did makes no sense. Why you would trade away Geno Smith to turn around and pay $40 million to Sam Darnold blows my mind. Makes no sense at all. But like if the Browns had traded for Geno Smith for a third, yeah, I would have been kind of excited. You're telling me you guys wouldn't have been happy with that move?
No, I wouldn't have been good with
it. The reason where I stand with the quarterback room is none of these guys on the market are going to cut it in the AFC. You could pay $100 million to Darnold. Geno Smith
Cousins is going to play better than Geno Smith.
No. So hold on. any of these guys you get might get you to the playoffs, but you aren't doing anything once you get there. In the AFC, NFC, a very different story. And what I don't want to do is give a load of resource to that position and then you're not there anyway. What I would much rather do is get someone that you think can just get you to the playoffs or at least have you around that spot. That's why I think Cousins does that. But Cousins is going to cost you $1 million rather than $40 million guaranteed maybe in year one, $30 million guaranteed, because Geno Smith wants $40 million guaranteed. That's what he's rumored to be getting in the next couple of weeks. So if I was in the NFC, a very, very different conversation about what I want, because there is just an easier route to the Super Bowl. You don't have to go through Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Jackson. So the answer to the quarterback position long term is singly in the draft. There is no other place to go. So I'm just looking for what is serviceable for a year. And for me, a third and an extension for Geno just doesn't sit well with me.
The extension I get. I don't want to pay him the extension. I was thinking, you get him and use him as a stopgap, as a bridge. That's what I'm talking about. I wouldn't have given him an extension.
Stephen Kramer's trying to make me look bad in the comments, and I already do bad enough. I already make myself look bad enough as it is. So I do want to point out, nobody's comparing any of these guys to Kenny Pickett. Now we're talking about guys that are going to come in here and play football, whereas Kenny Pickett is hopefully being looked at as the third string. So no, we're off of Kenny Pickett. He's here. Yeah. He's gone. He's hopefully he's like a third string guy, and we're moving on. We're talking about guys to come in and play. But Brad, I'm going to go back to your question. No, I don't. If they would have signed Geno, I'd have been like, okay, Geno Smith. All right, fine. Okay, another middling, okay quarterback. Like it just that's not going to do a lot for me. But nor is Joe Flacco.
Do you want me to read off his numbers the last 3 years? I mean, this year was middling, but the last two before that were pretty damn good, man.
Yeah, he had 2 good years, and he's been around for 100. And I don't know. It's I wouldn't have been overly. 30? I wouldn't have been overly excited. I wouldn't have been overly
he's
excited.
older than that. That's where the issue comes. Let me bring this up.
Besides the point, I was just trying to point out
he'll be 35 in October. So
I'm just saying it's a tough place. It's a tough place to be right now to need a quarterback. It's a tough
Jack's
place.
point is valid. If you're going to give him an extension, you want no business with that, right? I get it. I was thinking of him as a stopgap. He seems like a better option than the other available ones. That's all I was saying.
I would say that of the people that were available that we can confirm are available or were whatever will be, Geno was the top. I would say I feel very confident that Geno Smith was the best quarterback that's going to change teams this free agency period, because the Aaron Rodgers thing is kind of funny because I think because he's kind of a little, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. We forget that he was actually not bad last year. Like he actually had a pretty good, he's just absolutely insane. But that's a whole different story. But yeah, Geno was the best. It's just the age of 35. Do you got to pay him? What do you want to do? Hear that and everything. So it's like, get you a reclamation project, go get you somebody like Flacco or Winston, and then let's just take a shot in April.
All right. So
go.
So again, I think it shows, and again, thanks for talking that through, especially, talking about what we think is going to happen moving forward. I do think, there's so many mixed signals right now with the Browns in the quarterback position, aren't there? Because it came out with Adam Schefter saying, man, he's less confident than ever that the Browns were even going to address quarterback in the draft. Well, man, what if that report was true, guys? This is the last thing I want to ask about quarterback, and then we're going to move on to some of the other things that we saw the Browns do today. But if that report was true, let's say the Browns are really not enamored with any of these quarterbacks in the draft. Let's say they just frankly don't really like any of the quarterbacks in the draft, and they just don't really put a pressing need on getting that quarterback. Then what do they have to do over the next couple of weeks to get things right? I mean, outside of just saying Kirk Cousins, I mean, you got to get 2 guys still.
Yeah, so I would go with Kirk Cousins and Mac Jones, and because Cousins has got the ability to be a middle-of-the-road quarterback. He was the 22nd best quarterback for PFF last year, and it's like he's fine. Mac Jones had a really good rookie year. People easily sleep on that rookie year. And if there's someone that's shown year on year on year, everyone other than Watson he's worked with has looked about league average. And if you can get that for 17 games, you're in a good spot. And what they then need to do, if they're not going and investing in there, whether it's Abdul Carter, trading down and get more picks for the future, invest in having a really, really good team that makes life easier for the quarterback. That's having a run game. That's having plenty of receiving targets, because Stefanski can scheme up some really good stuff. So if it's, hey, your fifth best target out there to throw to, I'm going to make sure this guy's open. You're not asking the quarterback to do that much. You're going, just throw to this guy. Don't even bother reading and addressing the rest of the play. Just throw to that person. So I think they can set this up nicely that they can be talking about 9 wins. If you give me Cousins, Mac Jones, and Kenny Pickett, we can make it work. Is it going to be pretty? Are they going to win a playoff game? Probably not. But if you get 9 to 10 wins, it does a job while you keep swinging at quarterback in the draft.
It's fair.
All right. So moving off the quarterback for a minute, and again, this wasn't the most timely thing of today, but I've seen it get asked in the comments a few times. Guys, people would like to hear your victory laps, because after what seemed like an eternity of bad news around the Cleveland Browns, just an absolute eternity of nothing good, whether it's the city and the Browns fighting with each other, whether it's players asking for trades, whether it's just all the crap that we thought we were past coming back to haunt us. It hits the other day that Myles Garrett goes ahead and signs his extension, and he will remain with the Cleveland Browns for a long time to come, something that we have all on the OBR been talking about for a long time as the only thing that made sense moving forward. So it was asked in the comments for some victory laps. So Jacob, why don't you start, man? Why don't you start with a victory lap and we'll go around the horn?
Ha! Told you so.
Yeah, no, I would give a lot of credit to Jack and Pete on this one. They were kind of Jack's breakdown of basically the financial ramifications and the impact that the trade would actually have on Barry and Stefanski, whose jobs are on what you could maybe consider the hot seat, made it clear that by trading Myles Garrett, they'd basically be firing themselves. And Pete also had the foresight to talk about the impact of him on the sidelines, getting booed at the Cavs games and all of that, and actually called this all out, that like literally he'll be able to go on the sidelines now at the Cavs games and be the hero. And he actually painted this picture. So great job by Jack, who provided the information that was the ammunition for all my arguments on every show I ever went on. Jack gave me that information. And it was very clear once you understood that they financially couldn't do it, they weren't going to do it. It was impossible for them to do it and be functional. So great job by Jack and Pete, who I think made the best case for this and made us look good everywhere.
It was just a decision point in the sand, and there was no right or wrong answer with where people wanted to go between the, hey, I will extend Myles Garrett, or we're blowing this up. But it's a fundamental team-wide decision to blow this up, not just a move on Myles Garrett and tick along. And for people that were happy to go that route of going, look, I don't think this roster's good enough, it's going to be a dumpster fire for 2 years, blow it up, I had no issue. But they were never going to do that. There was no way Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry were going, hey, yeah, we're going to get sacked in a year's time, let's cash out. It was one that they were always going that direction. So it just felt inevitable. In all honesty, you just follow the money. It's the most important thing. The money will tell you a lot of what's going on. It's why, hey, we'll get onto a certain guy that's got released. The second that deal was designed, I spoke about what happened today. That was 2 years ago. I said, this is what's going to happen as the most likely outcome. And we're here. It's follow the money.
Jack Stradamus. I think one last thing that I would add to this situation is I think it's about time that everybody learns one very simple, basic lesson. Football is a business. These are these men's jobs, and this is what they do for a living. So all the emotion that we feel as a fan, I think people need to understand they don't feel it. They certainly have ties and emotions and things they care about and all that stuff, but they are earning paychecks. They are setting their families up for generations at this point. But it's a business. So when you feel a certain way about hearing a guy talk bad about the franchise or the direction or not being happy or whatever, there's always reasons that things get said, and it's not always emotional. And for the group that said, "Oh, bridge is burned, too far gone, Miles is gone," it's the same group that said it about every guy that was in this situation in the past. And it always comes back to these guys are going to do what's best for them and their families. And for Miles, it was signing that extension for Cleveland. So, just be emotional about it, be a fan and all that. But just remember, when you think there's no going back, when you think, oh, Miles really not going to be able to show his face in that locker room again. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And every one of those guys in that locker room is going to defend Miles' ability to do what he did because they might be next. And so just remember that's how the business works. So good job to all of you guys on the Miles stuff. It was awesome. So Browns made a couple more moves today, really more additions subtractions than anything. I think the one that kind of hit out of the blue a little bit was the news that the Browns are notifying Devin Tomlinson that he is going to be released. And I don't know, a lot of people saw that coming. I think he was penciled in as a guy that was going to be playing defensive tackle for the Cleveland Browns, but Browns are going to move on from Devin Tomlinson. And boys, what do we think that says about the team and how they feel about the defensive tackle position? And Jack, I'll let you hit on it too. What does that do for things like the cap and what they can do spending wise moving forward?
Yeah, so it frees up $14.5 million of cash. So that's money that they can go and spend. He comes in at about 11.5 off the top of my head as his current salary cap number, and then it drops to about 5, I want to say. I am rough off the top of my head working on those. But it's one that extra cap will free up on the 2nd of June. They don't need to wait for that. They know that's coming. They'll just spend the $14.5 million of cash. And they want to keep upgrading. If we go back to the 2023 season, his first season here, he was just under the 10% threshold. And it was one where I said, hey, you've got to get more out of him in his second season, else he's not going to be here. And then he had one game which was phenomenal against Pittsburgh, 30 pass rushes and 10 pressures. But outside of that, he only had one other game where he crossed 3 pressures in a game, which it's not like he's bad, but he's not delivering to the level you really want if you're giving up your 60% of the why not? But you've got 60 something percent, if not more, of your defensive tackle budget is in one player who's playing 60% of the snaps. And the argument then comes of, are you getting value in that? Because you're playing roughly 180% of snaps, because it just comes under 2 guys across the entire season because they play slightly more edges than defensive tackles. So do you justify 70% of the budget for a third of the snaps? I don't think that's the answer. So I think if this frees up some money and they go, they might go and just get Hargrave and it's 1 in, 1 out. But it could be one where we open up some money for, hey, half that budget goes to getting Chase Young at edge 2, and then they'll spend $8 million at another defensive tackle. Well, that's going to be fun. So I think it's going to get reinvested on the D-line, but they might just change how it looks.
My question would be this. I get the financial aspect of it and the savings. My question is, and I know the pass rush numbers you went over about the 10% threshold is your thing, right, Jack? That's kind of how you measure these guys.
For DT, yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at his PFF grades. He's also probably maybe their best run defender.
Yes.
On the defense, right? So while I know pass rush is a huge part of this, he is also valuable in many other ways. He takes up space. He can play the shade nose if you need him to. He can, play the run better than anybody on this defense. So that's fine if you're going to get rid of him. But how are you going to replace that 60, 70% of snaps with guys that can defend the run as well in an area where they struggled even last year? So, are you going to get two guys to do that? Or are you going to get one guy to do that? And if you can't depend on a drafted guy to do that, because it takes defensive tackles a couple years to even relegate to get used to the NFL. So you better have a plan for filling this in.
I would say Shelby Harris gives you about 90% of what Devin Tomlinson is. And the argument is you're going from a $4.5 million to a $14.5 million. And is that extra 10% worth $10 mil? And for some people that is, because he makes such an impact. For me, I don't think I would much rather have create it in the aggregate, to use a Moneyball line there.
Sure.
But it's one of give me multiple. And I don't mind if they go and sign Javon Hargrave and they give him 10 mil. I'm like, hey, I get that. I'm expecting them to go out there and spend on someone. I can pull up the list while Jacob or someone else speaks on kind of who else is out there. But I do see them continuing to invest. I think we'll have an 8 million plus DT come in and be signed, whether it's Hargrave or someone else. I don't think they're just going to go, hey, we're going to replace him with a draft pick or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'd be if I was putting money on it. That's also what I would think. I mean, it's a phenomenal defensive tackle class, but like you said, unless you're taking Mason Graham, who I do think is an elite run defender day one, I without question. Jack, he hits your threshold of 10%. All right. I saw that. I knew you were going to do it. You didn't say how much it had to be past that 10%. You just said it had to meet that threshold. But but I do think you can go into the draft, say you go and you bring in another defensive tackle that is focused on the pass rushing. I do think there are some role-specific defensive tackles that can give you that run defense. I think there is a ton of that where I feel more confident about some of those bigger, sturdier, more powerful defensive tackles being able to play the run right away as opposed to being a 3-down guy. So I do think it can, like Jack said, can turn into that. But yeah, I think ideally you would want to sign one guy that you do believe is a 3-down caliber player. For how much and how good he is, I don't know, but I do think one or two people replaces that. I don't think you're just doing a Hail Mary at this position.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
No,
I didn't interrupt you.
No, you're good. That's it.
Oh, I'm all for, replacing it in the aggregate. And I get that. The one thing that he does is he can get a pass rush and play the run. So that's not something you can do totally in the aggregate. You can't take two players and put them on the field at the same time, one that's good at stopping the run and one that's also good at rushing the passer and only, you know what I mean? Okay, so it's hard to find one player that can do both to his level, which is the difficult thing to find.
I agree.
Two guys that stand out for me, just flicking through names. Hargraves is one that I said coming into the offseason, I was like, look, if you can get him and you think he's going to be back to 22, 23 Hargrave, then I'm moving off from Tomlinson. The other one I don't think would come here, but if I can get him, he would be hell of a lot of fun, is Calais Campbell, just to stick it to the Ravens. But they're two guys that's kind of dream scenario. If you get either of them, you're in a really, really good spot. And no one's then worrying about him leaving. Whereas, if you went and replaced him with, he's gone now on the free agents list, but if you went, hey, we're getting rid of Tomlinson and bringing in Tier Tart, then even I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure about this, guys.
No, I think that's a great discussion, though, because I think it brings up all the good points. And Brad, I always tend to side with you on this, man. It's about more than pass rush. It's about a good defensive tackle makes linebackers better. A good defensive tackle eats up blockers and doesn't let them get to that second level and freeze up. And so even if it doesn't show up in the stat sheet as them making big plays, a good defensive tackle makes everybody around them on the defense better. And they're like the unsung heroes of any given defense. And so, like you said, Brad, there needs to be a plan there. Elsewhere in the free agency world, I think it was the latest thing that happened tonight. I know there's more rumors, but the Browns lose an offensive lineman, backup offensive tackle James Hudson, on his way to the Giants. And he signed for like $12 million, 2 years, $12 million, something like that. But James Hudson no longer a Cleveland Brown. What's our reaction here? We heard hold on, let Jacob do it. Go on. We heard Jacob's reaction.
Yay! I wish they would have tried him at guard. I will say that. I wish they would have given him a shot at guard. I think he could have played guard. That's it.
Or fullback.
Do you have some place to report fraud in the US? Because 12 million, 2 years.
Yeah.
Are they watching the same tape?
I know.
It's like, what is going on? Hopefully, fingers crossed, if the formula works, then basically quick high level on the comp pick formula. If you have more qualifying players leave than come in, doesn't matter if you have a superstar leave, it's just volume, then you will get comp picks. He'll qualify about a sixth, similar to what Elliott got last year as a deal. But obviously, if he then goes and doesn't play, it might drop to a seventh. But it's one that he might turn out to be a comp pick for us, which is nuts.
Yeah, he could not pass block anybody at all. He was basically a revolving door as a left tackle and right tackle in the past game. So good. I'm glad he got paid. Good for him. I have nothing against him personally. I'm glad he got paid. I don't know what film they're watching. That's wild that he got the contract he got. But fine with me. Off you go, and we'll bring in somebody else.
I want to give James Hudson a little bit of love before we get off of this topic, because he was so bad at pass blocking.
Yes.
But there were very few guys that I love to see line up in kind of that swing tackle, or even as a fullback. James Hudson loved to get out there and hit somebody. He loved to get out there and hit somebody. He was really good in that role of like getting out and being kind of a lead blocker for run plays, especially when the Browns had an offense that was doing things. So I want to give him a little credit. James Hudson laid some highlight level blocks on running plays over his career in Cleveland. Is it worth $12 million? It's not even close, but it was fun. And I want to give him a little love for that.
Legendary block in that Ravens game. I think it was the Ravens game, right? Where he came down the line on the 2-point conversion and blasted somebody. Remember, who was that?
I don't know who he hit, but he stole his soul.
My gosh. Yeah, he came down the line in motion on a trap play in the 2-point conversion and just demolished somebody. He stood up, both arms in the air. Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh, it was Van Noy.
Van Noy, yeah.
It was
amazing moment.
Van Noy says, "Oh yeah, love it." All right, so we know what has happened so far. Let's talk about a couple rumors going on around the Browns right now. I don't want to give a lot of rumors. I don't want to give a lot of space to some of these Twitter pages that all they do is come up with rumors. So I'm not going to talk a lot about Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, come on.
Until somebody, okay. Well, if you want to talk about Brandon Ayuk.
I'm just kidding. Dude,
until somebody
I talked about Brandon Ayuk for all of last offseason, literally the entire offseason, tried to speak it into existence. But I hope there's some truth to it. That's all I gotta say. Jack, any chance there's truth to the Ayuk stuff? Can they absorb that kind of a contract?
Yeah, they can make everything work. So we can always make it work. I think I genuinely believe they'll probably be looking at a skill player in a trade, whether it's a Pitts, Meyer, I don't know what his name is, Nalave,
Mayer,
Ayuk. I think they'll be looking. And part of the reason for that is if you don't have a quarterback, these wide receivers probably don't want to sign for you. Once you've got Kirk Cousins under contract, it's a different argument because you can say, hey, it's Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins done a good job of getting people money. Whereas going, hey, we've got Kenny Pickett, fancy coming to sign here, it just doesn't have the same selling point.
Doesn't it?
No, because
with
of
you.
all the reputational damage Brad's done to him.
That's right. It's all Brad's fault.
It's my fault.
Yeah, it's straight. Yeah, it's just straight Brad's fault.
We miss out on Keenan Allen. It's Brad's fault.
I heard Brandon Ayuk was quoted as saying, "I would go play for Cleveland," but you hear what Brad Ward said about Kenny Pickett?
Yeah.
I was like, I actually liked Kenny Pickett until I watched that show the other night.
It's a trade. Brandon I does not get a say unless he's got no trade clause. I don't think he has, but
That's what we do here in Cleveland. We give you no choice. You will play here. Yeah, so that's a little bit of a crazy one. But other rumors that you guys, or I guess other, as we kind of look to wrap up this hour of night one of free agency, what are we looking for now? Like, where are we looking for this team to go? I know we've already spent a lot of time talking about quarterback, but now knowing that, again, Devin Tomlinson's gone and understanding where the roster is at this point, where are we looking over the next few weeks as the free agent market kind of whittles itself down? Where are we looking for the Browns to really focus on how they can build this team?
Yeah, if we look at the starters, I'll nail the positions and Jacob can drop some names, but you've got left tackle, you've got one of the three wide receivers. I put running back in there. I think Chubb still comes back. I'm happy to talk on a bit on that. Edge 2, I think they want a bit more than McGuire. Obviously, defensive tackle's now opened and free safety. So this outside of obviously quarterback, you've got 7 spots that they're trying to fill, and they will fill them in free agency. You will have a 53-man roster that they are happy with by the time we get to the draft. They will not enter the draft going, oh, we need to sign a starter here. They will just sign who they want to sign because it's an 8-year investment. It's not about who's going to be the week 1 guy.
I already know what you're going to do.
Go ahead. It's your turn.
No,
Go on, Jacob.
No, you go. I can't even because I know. So
Thunder stolen.
I think the left tackle thing is the biggest thing for me. I need somebody that you can feel comfortable starting. Similar with the way I feel about quarterback going into the draft, where you may go in the draft and you may find your left tackle. You may spend a high pick on a tackle. That may be where you ultimately go. But like, I want the premium positions, like you said it best, Jack. Like, they're going to have a 53 they're happy with going into it, but especially at the premium positions. Like, I want to see left tackle. I still think they'll trade for a wide receiver. It's just what they do. So I'm trying to figure out which one that's going to be. But yeah, just kind of, I'm looking at left tackles. Some people want to throw Cam Robinson out there. I'm not paying Cam Robinson. Like, for what he is, I'm not paying Cam Robinson. But like, can you go out there and find what was his name? Jerron Christian, maybe? I don't know. Hell, I don't know, really, dude. Like, I'm just making names up now.
Cornelius Lucas. Just keep an eye on that name. Commanders, they've obviously now just traded for Tunsil. He would be a really, really good choice. He's going to cost about $5 million, but he is legitimate competition for DeJuan Jones. If DeJuan Jones plays well, he can win it, but he's not going to – it's not like they've spent $20 million and DeJuan Jones doesn't even have a look at it.
And they need that swing tackle. They need a third tackle, and I would prefer there to be a third tackle on the roster that has some experience. So yeah, like you said, you take a swing there, and DeJuan wins the left tackle job. Great. I feel better about what's coming off the bench, unlike I did in the past year or two. The 49ers are releasing Kyle Juszczyk. Yes.
Man, that's brutal.
I would. Right.
Oh,
now.
I think the Browns are absolutely going to be a team to watch there. He fits right into Kevin Stefanski.
I would love it. If you guys don't know, he's family friend. Kyle is of my dad coached him at Cloverleaf High School, and
Cloverleaf, Brad's favorite.
And he flew him out to the Pro Bowl, Super Bowl. He's done like cleats for cause. My dad has Crohn's disease. He's done Coach Ward on his cleats and stuff. But so Juszczyk is close family friend. It's sad to see him get released. He was worried about him getting released. So Browns would potentially kick the tires on it. I don't know how much they want to use a fullback this year, but he is a weapon.
He's a weapon.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. He's not just a fullback though. Like that's the thing about that's always made him special was just like, yeah, you had to fear where he was, and that's insane for a player of that position.
Yeah, he's incredibly athletic as far as catching the football and stuff. So great dude too. Anyways, tackle. Right, got to get swing tackle in free agency. You're probably going to get one in the draft too, but I think you should get one in free agency. I'm looking at like safety. Like I feel like you need a free agent safety. I like Justin Simmons, but I somebody that like it will be cheaper that you can at least bring in to compete with what's his name? From Ohio State, Hickman to play your deep safety position, right? I like Simmons a little bit to bring in because I think he brings a leadership aspect too. You know, he's a dog. There's some dog in Simmons. He's been a leader. And then, you know, at corner, I think you should bring in a veteran. You know, me and Bet. I don't know if Jonathan Jones got moved today, but I know me and Jack agreed there. He would be of interest to me because he has that inside-outside versatility. So if you had to move somebody like Newsome or you got the opportunity to, somebody like Jones could bring you that inside-outside versatility and even compete with him. You know what I mean? If you know, we don't know what we're going to get from Emerson coming off a bad year, coming back. So there's a lot of unknown in the secondary there. So that's kind of why I like Jones' ability to play in and out too. I think they should address tight end for sure. That's one place they can add a weapon. So keep an eye on the trade market as they go back to more 12 and 13 personnel, a pass catcher, either in the draft or free agent or trade even would be one place to watch for sure. And of course, you know, we've already got this guy, so no worries.
There it is.
No worries. Small hands, big dreams, baby. Done.
One to throw out there. Oh, we can't hear Mike.
I was going to say, go ahead, Jack. One last word.
Greg Newsome's obviously been someone that many people said, hey, you're never going to trade that contract. After seeing all these corner deals flying out today, I feel a lot more confident that there's much more likely to be a market there than I would have considered yesterday. So one just to keep an eye on that. I think he's much more in play than he ever was.
Who's that? Who you said?
Greg Newsome trade.
You think the trade is in play?
I think he's much more in play because of these corner deals have shot up today more than people expected.
Interesting. Couple questions in the chat about Wills. Wills is it's gonna shock you, but Wills is gonna bring a bigger market than we think. I mean, he's gonna command a lot of money. I think the Browns need to. That ship has passed. He can go play average level tackle for somebody else because his motor sucks. So we'll go to move on to somebody else there.
Okay, so
I will say,
see him play a lot better wherever he goes because he'll know he's really, really fighting for a career at that point. So I expect to see a better version of him than we got to see in the last 2 years. And as well, he never got the chance to play without Watson. Everyone, even your Joel Bitonio's looked better without Watson. So that will play a factor. But I could see him probably with how mental this tackle market's been on the left side. $8 million, 1 year deal. I think someone will happily pay that to give him a go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Last thing, and Jeff Lloyd wanted to join us tonight, but we had some technical issues at the start, and then he had to run. So I do want to point out he threw this into our Slack, but it was a tweet from Charles Robinson. For anybody feeling concerned about the Browns' approach at quarterback, here's the tweet from Charles Robinson. It says, recalibrating a bit, got the sense that the Titans don't have strong Russell Wilson interest. I think his market beyond the Giants is flat. Cam Ward is definitely in play in Tennessee, and the Browns aren't done at quarterback. They're going to throw several moves at it before it's all over. It makes me almost feel like the Browns might do more than what people think here when it comes to quarterback. It makes me feel like they may have names in here that you may not even think about. Like, we just got to figure out how to get this room right.
Jacoby
more swings, the better, with the exception of Pickett and Wentz.
Just bring Jacoby. Just bring Jacoby the Sweet Prince home. Just do it.
No, let's not. I'm out.
All
right, that's good.
That dream is past, Jacob, I think. He didn't even win games when he was here. He played his best football ever here, and he didn't even win games here.
Yeah.
Come on.
One man is no team.
Just for a little bit of fun before we leave, I want to do 2 quick hitter questions. These are quick hitters, so these aren't rants. These are quick hitters. Go around the horn real quick. Best signing of the day in the NFL.
DJ Reed, the corner. I would have loved to have a piece of that at the Browns.
They gave up a lot for him, but Laramie Tunsil to the Commanders.
I was just going to say the Commanders' approach in general. Can we just say them going all in with the rookie quarterback, the trade the picks, get Tunsil now. They got Debo. They got, you know what I mean? They're going all in now, and now's the time to do it. So Commanders look good.
You're not allowed to say Kenny Pickett, the weirdest or worst or dumbest thing you saw today.
Is Tyler Wharton or something? The former Chiefs DT. Oh, and Kinlaw. Kinlaw's got to be up there at $15 million a year. What are they doing? And also $20 million a year for running Deshaun Watson to the Jets. What is going on?
Oh no! Oh, you're trying to make enemies here, Jack? You trying to make enemies in Ohio? Did you just call Justin Fields running Deshaun Watson?
He did. Yeah, he did.
So if you look at both of those players' stats,
no. You don't get to just get away with that. Running Deshaun Watson, running from what? Running Deshaun Watson up from what? From what massage parlor has he run from? What are we talking about here?
So if you look at 3 stats, if you look at big time throw percentage, turnover worthy throw percentage, and time to throw, both Deshaun Watson and Justin Fields are basically identical, not just as an average. All 3 of the previous years, basically identical. Shockingly similar. So it's one that, other than a running game, he gives you the passing game of Deshaun Watson. And that's why I was never on board with it.
I feel like you maybe Listen, I'm not a big Justin Fields fan. I did not want the Browns to get Justin Fields. You don't pick a different player to compare. You do understand the connotation that comes with Deshaun Watson, right? Good Lord. All right. Anybody else? Any other signings that made you go, ooh, don't like that?
Darius Slayton, 3 years, $36 million for a guy that can never stay healthy at wide receiver for the Giants. I got to question that move.
James Hudson. James Hudson is probably, for me, that one's like you had a bad offensive line, so you made it worse. Also, Chase Young back to New Orleans. He's off the board.
Bummer. Okay. All right, so listen, we will be with you through all of the offseason moves. Make sure you get over to the OBR.com and hit subscribe. If you haven't done that, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get over there, hit subscribe. Literally the best deal. What? Go ahead, Brad.
Patriots had a good day.
They did.
Brad's going to give a little love to the Patriots.
Vrabel. What? You don't like it, Jack? What they're doing?
Just throwing money around like it's going out of fashion. I think they're overpaying to hell in it.
Maybe they got some players though.
And then they're going to cut them all in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have our Patriots episode tomorrow. No, that's going to do it for us. Get over to the OBR.com. Make sure you hit subscribe. All the best written content. I mean, like, just so many things coming out every day, and we've got you covered with everything the Cleveland Browns are doing. And pretty much every night of the week, we've got stuff coming out on video for the Browns, including tomorrow. You got Jeff with his show, Browns 3D. You've got Brad and Pete on the React, and then Garage Beers will be tomorrow night. We'll be talking about all this stuff, but you will not get a better place to get Browns coverage than right here at the OBR. So make sure you are tuned in to everything going on OBR. Follow the OBR on all the socials. And while you're there, make sure you follow these fine gentlemen, Jack, Jacob, Brad. It was awesome doing this with you. And again, stay tuned. Also, we've got our regularly scheduled shows, but if big news breaks, we'll jump on and do some videos. Or if there's just another full week of big things coming up, all leading us into everything going on with free agency. And we'll have our draft extravaganza in April. So make sure you are a part of every last bit of it here at the OBR. That's going to do it for us. For Brad, for Jacob, Jack, thank you guys for jumping in. I am Michael Keefe. Go follow the show. Go follow the guys. And we will see you next time, next place on the OBR. Until then, as always, go Browns.